Hey everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Today with a probably slightly chaotic September wrap-up because I only half prepared. So here's your warning up front. I want to talk with you about the books that I read in September, and it was a fantastic reading month. I have a bunch of books that I loved. I have a bunch of books that I liked. There was no crappy book this month. There was a book where I will rant a little bit. So I'm excited about that though. But let's start with the stats. So in the month of September, I read a total of 7 books with 2,802 pages, although technically one of the books I only read the second half of. So it's not quite 2,800, but I always count the full books in a month. 3 of those books were fantasy, 4 of those books were thriller. I'm definitely back into my thriller time. I found a bunch of really good ones. I'm eating that genre up at the moment. And because of that, I was also able to use my Kindle Unlimited like crazy. Feel free to watch my video on where I talk about my experience with Kindle Unlimited because I got like a 3-month free trial. And then I finished 2 series, which is exciting because that's what we wanted to do this year since I haven't focused too much on that in this year so far. So let's talk about the books. I will talk about fantasy first and then the thrillers, starting with one of the fantasy books that is an arc that I cannot talk about quite yet. I can't even tell you the title or anything, but I promise you there will be a separate review for that one once it is live. Then I had another arc, not this one, but book 2 of that. So in the Witch Roads series by Kate Elliott, the second book is called A Nameless Land. It's coming out early November. I'm holding up book 1 because that's obviously the one that I have here, but I will buy book 2 as well. So to avoid spoilers, I will not go into too deep into the story. Watch the interview with Kate Elliott if you want to learn more about the book. And again, subscribe because now that I read both books, I will definitely put up a review for that one as well because my goodness, this broke my heart. Well, book 1 broke my heart. Book 2, to be fair, put it back together. But that was such a good story. So first of all, the fantasy elements is fantastic. We get much deeper into the magic system that we get to know in book 1. And we get to see a lot more from the main character's perspective. We get a lot more history about where this is all coming from, where she is coming from. On top of that, the love story aspect. So just to be very clear, this is not a romantasy or romance fantasy or anything. This is a fantasy, very much so. It just has a very grown-up love story in there that I loved. And it just added so much to the characters and to the character development and to the story in general that it was really well done. And the second book in the series is the third book that I read by Kate Elliott, and it cements her for me as a favorite author. And I will definitely put in a lot of effort in reading more of her books. There's one of her series on the Backlist book club that Nico and I have been organizing, which is her Jaron series. Jaron, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, which I am very excited about. And then the other one that I definitely want to read is The Dragon Mage, which is her other shorter standalone. And then she has a huge backlog, so I will not be bored by any means. And then my third fantasy book. Are you ready for this one? I wasn't ready. And I didn't think I would read it that fast, but my library hold came through. That completely threw off my plans, by the way. It was towards the end of the month, and I was actually supposed to do a buddy read that I now moved into October, and I was supposed to read a bunch of arcs that I also moved into October. But my library hold came through, and I promised my colleague to read it and to give it another try, and that is The Well of Ascension. So if you remember, I read book 1 and was kind of on it, and then I read the first half of book 2 and was super annoyed with it because nothing happened, and the 2 main characters, Vin and Elan, whatever, however you pronounce him, annoyed the hell out of me because they just simply did not communicate. This is like the mother of all not communication tropes. Although I have another one of those later in the thriller section. So maybe not the mother, the sister. But it drove me nuts. And it still drove me nuts, even in the second half. Like, people, just talk with each other. It's not that hard. But all the conflict between the 2 was just because they didn't talk. And it was so frustrating. And then this entire book was frustrating. So even the majority of the second half was just so slow, and there was just so much talk and nothing happened. And when something happened, happened within half a page, and then you had 10 pages of talk again. And then the ending happened. And I liked it again. and forking cliffhangers in this book. So I have to read book 3 now because there's such a ginormous cliffhanger in here that, I mean, I want to know now. That was my problem with this from the beginning. Like the big picture story with the Well of Ascension and the Hero of Ages was so interesting. And all the little bits that we've gotten through the story sounded so promising. But then we never get anything. It's like just little breadcrumbs. And it's like, here, starving little whatever. Here's a crumb. Deal with it. And then you deal with 10 pages of random dialogue again, which is just very frustrating. I do not like the main characters. I find them so annoying, which also makes it hard. There are some side characters that I really liked, and there's especially one, and I'm not saying names because I want to avoid spoilers, but there's one side character here that I found incredibly fascinating, and then it turns out to be the bad guy. Kinda. Not really. Also kind of weird. I could go on a whole rant on that resolution for that one character as well. But yeah, I'm going to read book 3, especially now that since I bought the copies again. I bought them. Then I was frustrated and sold them. And then I liked the ending, so I bought them again. Listen, nothing makes sense here. So I will read Hero of Ages probably November-ish because I kind of want to know now what happens. I will not read it in October because October is a really fun month, and since these books are so freaking slow, I will not do that. Moving into thrillers and talking about the mother of all non-communication tropes, I read the September John Marrs book. I squeezed it in the last 2 days. It was really, really good. It's a thriller called What Lies Between Us. And listen, I just love his thrillers. I believe pretty much everyone, except for the only thriller that I didn't like was the one not in September, but in July, I believe. I'm blanking on the name already. I'm blanking on all of these names. Like, I keep forgetting the names of these books for John Marrs. Anyway, but in general, I love the thrillers, and this one was fantastic. Although, and that's where a little bit the popcorn read type of flavor comes in here, this could have been resolved so easy as well if those two people that, like, our characters in the story would have just frickin' talked with each other. But since they didn't, all of this happened, and it was so good. I did not see this ending coming. Just to give you like a little glimpse, this is about a mother-daughter who live together in a house, and right at the beginning you realize the mother is chained to the bedroom and cannot leave the house, and no one is supposed to know that she's there. The daughter is actually telling everyone that she moved to, I don't know, somewhere in New Jersey, and she is keeping her hostage for a reason that you learn throughout the book, and it is wild. Like, the more you learn about the book, the more you're like, boy, something went really wrong in these people's lives, and it really did. It's really cool because it jumps a little bit into the past, so you get to know kind of the beginning of when all of this started into the now. You get to meet a couple of characters around them that are important for the story, and it's just really cool. I love his writing. It's very straightforward. It's very entertaining. His thrillers in particular, I tend to read within a day or two usually, and this one was a 2-day read as well. So really, really cool. In the same vein, but way more on the popcorn side, I've read my first Frida McFadden book, which is The Surrogate Mother. And Costco has books again. I don't know if you can see that based on the sticker, but Costco has books again. I'm so excited. They got rid of the books. Not that I really bought a whole lot of books at Costco, but I got excited that they had them back. So I bought one. This is also a weird story. It was so popcorny that I had to really think about it when I was prepping for this video. And what was this about again? Okay, now I remember. It's about Abby, who has been trying to get pregnant for years and years and years, and it's just not working. Like, after 10 years, there's an adoption on the horizon, and she gets really excited. They're starting to prep the room where the kid will live for it to then all fall apart. Her assistant then to the rescue, because she realizes how devastated Abby is and offers her to be her surrogate and get that going. And yeah, would be nice if things are simple, but they're not, because there's a lot of stuff going on with that part. It was really cool. I had a lot of fun with it, but yeah, it's not good. Like, objectively, it's not a great thriller. It's very, very popcorny. You really have to suspend your disbelief, especially towards the end, and where as we get into the resolution of, you know, why certain things have happened the way they happened. And it is very far stretched. And, you know, I'm not someone who takes those things very seriously, especially if I'm realizing very fast, okay, this is this type of read. As long as all the pieces fall into place nicely and it's not, how should I say that? I mean, yes, far-fetched, you know, there's a line to being too far-fetched. This one didn't cross it quite yet. I don't know if that makes any sense. It was fun, but don't expect like the best thriller ever out of it. Definitely not John Marrs category, so it's way further below. And then the last two books, I can talk about them together because they are book 2 and 3 in a trilogy. Boy, that was so good. So I've talked about Ragnar Jonassen's The Darkness. That is book 1 last month, the month before. When did I read it? Not too long ago. How about that? I don't know if you remember, but this is about Hulda, who is a 64-year-old detective in Iceland. She's about to be thrown out of the police for early retirement, and she takes care of one last case. It gets really dark in that case. And the ending was something that I did not expect, to a point where I was sitting here, it's like, so how are you supposed to get a book 2 and 3 out of that with that ending? So I really wanted to know relatively quickly on how that continues, especially since I still had everything in my head and knew what was going on. So I read book 2, which is The Island. I don't have a copy for that yet. And The Mist, which is book 3 in the Hulda series by Ragnar Jonassen. And those have to be some of my favorite thrillers now. Incredible. In general, how these are set up, all 3 of these books, is you have the current case that is relevant for that one book and that is being resolved in this one book. And then you have Hulda herself and her life and how everything happened, essentially. So book 1, you start towards the end of her story and you get to see the end result. And then book 2 and 3 go into the past and tell you more of why. Like, they give you a lot of detail as to why everything happened the way it did. And it was so well done. I didn't think it would work, but he pulled it off. So that part of the story alone was super fascinating, incredibly dark, incredibly moving. There are a lot of psychological elements that played into that role that were so well executed that I really had like a hard feeling, like a clenched feeling in myself after reading this. I really felt for the character. And with thrillers, I don't have that often. Usually it's, you know, popcorn read, and yes, you're worried about the character, but it is entertainment. This one, so well done from a character development perspective. It's incredible. I don't think I've seen that with a thriller in that extent before. And then the cases themselves, the one that are individual for each book, are also incredible. So he really knows how to write a desolate setting like Iceland. He clearly knows Iceland. I mean, he is from Iceland. He's an Icelandic author, and he brought that to life. So as someone who has never been to Iceland, big bucket list item for me though, for someone who has never been to Iceland, these descriptions have been incredible. You can feel the cold, you can feel like the vastness of nothing, and it was incredible. Like, I loved these books so much, both of them. And I'm excited to read more by that author. I know he has like a longer series with a different author. This is the lesser known series by him. He has a much more popular series, and I will definitely dig into that one. A quick summary for my October, what to expect, what am I planning to read in October. There's a lot of stuff that is moving from September. Because I didn't get to a lot of books. I got a bit sidetracked with my thrillers and then with the Brandon Sanderson book. So, Children of Time is moving into October. I actually, at this point of filming it, I already finished this one, but that is a complete October book. I didn't even start it in September. I'm very excited to be talking with Josh because it's a buddy read with him about this book on October 23rd. We still have to figure out on which channel we want to host the live, but we will be talking about that one. It's such a cool sci-fi book. There are 2 arcs that I need to read, both fantasy, both I'm really excited about. I will tell you more about those in my October wrap-up. I have a buddy read with Chess and Danielle from Bookara for Pet Cemetery. I'm a bit worried about that one, but they started that already. I haven't yet, and so far they're saying it's more disturbing, but not scary. So promising? I don't know. We'll see. The John Mars read for October is the next sci-fi, and with that the last sci-fi one. That's the Family Experiment, so I can close out another series in October. I'm very excited about that. And then I have a couple of other things on my maybe list, so I'll see how it goes. I just need to be mindful because we're in the middle of the Long Walk readathon, right? So I have to be very mindful about what am I reading strategically to get the most points for Team Roadwork. Yay, Team Roadwork. But I'm excited for everything. Awesome, guys. What was your favorite book in September? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you see my review for the Witch Roads duology, my review for that arc that I can't tell you anything about yet. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and that I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.